Hi, isn't it wonderful to be back together on a magnificent Monday morning? Now here's our message. It's called Dwarves and Gorillas. And one of the most driven men I know is Dr. Daniel Macaulay of the McDan Group, a man who started selling on the streets at the age of 12 and became a millionaire by 28. Now, how did he do it? What was his secret? Hunger. A desire for more, a yearning to take whatever he has and use it to get whatever he wants. This has propelled him to attain unimaginable wealth and the ability to change people's lives for the better. Now, in my conversations with Dr. Macaulay, I have tried to uncover the secret sauce, to understand that magic ingredient that has made him more successful than his peers. So, some time ago when we spoke, I asked him about his hunger. Why was he always yearning for more? He had already beaten his competition. His company is prospering. He could pretty much sign million-dollar checks all day long, and by evening, he wouldn't have even made a dent in his bank balance. So why was he still hungry? What more did he want in this world? Now, his answer stunned me. He said, Kojo, in this country, we like to walk with dwarves just so we can call ourselves giants. Now, that blew my mind. How true. I found myself taking a mental journey through Daniel Macaulay's life, and suddenly I really understood what he meant. You see, when he started making serious money from his maize and coffee trade, he was still a messenger. At that time, Daniel could have looked at his fellow messengers and thought, well, none of these guys have as much money in the bank as I do. Later, when he was made general manager of the shipping company he had joined as a messenger, that was enough of an achievement for him to have righteously boasted for the rest of his life. This is a total rags to riches story right there. Messenger to manager. Most people would have quit right there and gone off to become motivational speakers or something. But Daniel Macaulay didn't want to be a giant among dwarves. The fact that he had defied all odds to become general manager meant nothing. There were still other people out there doing better than him. Why be a general manager when he could be a CEO? Why be an employee when he could be an employer? So he quit his job, started his own shipping company, and found others to compete with. Now, his next words in that conversation explained it better than I ever could. He said, most people just can't break out of their comfort zone. He drawled in his gravelly voice. They achieve one thing, and they are happy to just keep living on the past glory of that achievement. Just like a regular-sized person living off the praise of dwarves, I thought to myself. And he continued, if you really want to be great, don't walk with dwarves, run with gorillas. That made sense to me too. Challenging yourself can be unpredictable and uncomfortable. That's why they call it getting out of your comfort zone. You leave a place where you are sure of yourself, a position of comfort, and you enter a place of risk. Running with gorillas does not sound in the least bit safe. But placing yourself in that position of danger will force you to operate at your absolute best. You'll need to either be excellent or die. And that is the simple secret of men like Dr. Daniel Macaulay. They force themselves to take risks, to try new things, and to take chances that would terrify mere mortals. They jump without a parachute, and they punch above their weight. Their last achievement means nothing. Their next achievement means everything. That's what it means to run with gorillas. And that's how the Daniel Macaulays of this world keep getting better and better. By never allowing themselves to get comfortable. That is their secret sauce. So my dear friends, today I've got to ask, are you done? Is this all you can do? This job that you've been doing for almost a decade, this car, these clothes, these things you've obtained, these goals you've achieved years ago and have done nothing else since, is this all you can do? Are you done? Daniel Macaulay is a 45-year-old multimillionaire. He has more money than anyone can spend in a lifetime, but he is still hungry. He believes he hasn't even realized half of his potential yet. Daniel was born a dwarf, so he's always looking for gorillas to run with. He refuses to get comfortable because in comfort lies collapse. So how about you? Are you comfortable? If you are, what a pity. My name is Kojo Yankson, and today I ask you, are you done or are you ready to run? Good morning, Ghana.
With 14 days to election, hello and welcome to the AM News. My name is Mapito Sibili. Now, the newly created Savannah region has been in the news this year for at least 2 cases of violence against women. As the country heads to the polls, there are growing concerns about insecurity as armed robbery and political violence emerge. For our series dubbed Safety for My Votes, which puts the spotlight on security in hotspots community, we make a stop in the region with 129 hotspots. Correspondent Isaac Nyonya's reports, read to you.
Until it was carved out of the then northern region, the Savannah region has been considered one of the most peaceful areas with minimal security breaches. These mostly bordered in chieftaincy disputes. As elections draw closer, 129 hotspots have been identified by the police. With this in mind, one of the topmost security concerns for residents here in Damango in the West Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, increasing armed robberies.
It is very rampant, very common, almost day in, day out. We hear cases about armed robbery cases.
And violence against women in the region.
In terms of security bridges, you talk about these alleged witchcraft issues. The poor, vulnerable women, they are those that these issues are always, they always suffer from these accusations.
Areas like Damango Fofoso Road, Sola Damango Highway, Bamboy, Bole, and Sola Highway, including Bupe and Fofoso Highway, have all become dangerous to ply as robberies are often recorded there. Residents say they are terrified. For other residents, youthful indiscipline is on the rise.
And it appears the political fever is making most of them feel comfortable in their zones, in the sense that the politicians sometimes visit them, encourage them, and even assist them. And I am feeling that they have the potential of escalating our insecurity in the community.
Here is Savannah Regional Chairman of People Living with Disabilities, Kittley Stephen. He says the political intolerance exhibited between supporters of the NPP and NDC during the registration exercise should not have gone unpunished.
It was not fine, it was not good for Damango because gunshots here and there. Some of them got injured. Some of these people, those who had the guns, were brought to Damango. They were arrested and brought to Damango. As I talk, I don't know how it has ended.
Meanwhile, the pains of the lynching of 90-year Madam Ekuadente of Kafaba in the East Gonja district and that of Maria Abukari and 2 others at Sumpini in the West Gonja municipality in the region are still fresh in the minds of many.
Meanwhile, Public Relations Officer of the Savannah Regional Police Command, Ajakum Osu, says although the concerns are legitimate, police there have the situation under control. Away from that, the President's advisor on health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, has hinted Ghana's health sector would see a robust infrastructural development under the next new Patriotic Party government. He indicated that the Akufo-Addo-led government would construct about 113 ultra-modern health facilities across the country, complete the digitization of the health system, and expand health training facilities to enhance human resources in the sector. He emphasized that the delivery of these promises agenda, coupled with other interventions, would enhance quality healthcare delivery to warrant a healthy nation. Dr. Nsiasari was speaking at the Volta NPP Nurses and Midwives Network Conference 2020 in Ho.
We are building 101 district hospitals, and these are district hospitals which are district hospitals of emergency center with what it takes to be a district hospital, X-ray and everything is in. We are also putting up 7 regional hospitals, between 170 to 200 bed regional hospitals. All the 6 new regions will get regional hospitals with all the necessary machinery and equipment inside the regional hospitals, including MRI and CT scans. We are also putting 2 psychiatric hospitals, one in the middle belt in Kumasi, another one also in in Tamale and rehabilitate the Pantan psychiatric hospitals. We are also going to put another 3 infectious diseases centers in collaboration with the private sector. Now we finish the Accra one, there will be one in Kumasi, there will be one in Tamale, and one in Takoradi. And this is the beginning of having what you call Center for Disease Control for Ghana. We are also going to review and overhaul the health care financing to have more money for health insurance to be sustainable. We are, as I said, we are going to deliver the largest health infrastructure investment since independence, the Agenda 111. We are also going to construct the infectious disease centers to make sure that all the ecological 3 zones are all covered. We are going to complete all hospital projects which are ongoing. And we are also going to complete our digitization process that we have started throughout the country. So you go to hospital, it will be paperless, and then you go through the system. Nurses will not sit down and use red pen and blue pen to be writing. You go on your laptop, on your pylons and work. We are also going to harmonize the functions of health facility regulated body, IFRA, National Health Insurance Authority, and all the regulated bodies so that they have one credentialing.
With 2 weeks to the December 7 elections, inmates of Nsawam Medium Security Prison have a special message for Ghanaians. They say the prisons are already full, so nobody should engage in any acts that could lead to the incarceration and worsen their plight. Seth Kwame has been spending time with the inmates and has come through with this report.
Prisons across the country are full. They are very full.
The current prison population is 13,333. These are against a holding capacity of 9,500.
The Nsawam Medium Security Prison where I am today was built to accommodate 817 inmates, but presently there are about 3,000 inmates in this facility. The number was at some point more than 3,500. The serious congestion across all prison facilities in Ghana, coupled with the inhumane conditions there, make managing the prisons very difficult.
Overcrowding, we all know, is an impediment to our activities in prisons. Our core function of ensuring safe custody and welfare of the inmates becomes very difficult when we have overcrowding in our prisons.
Over the years, election-related crimes like ballot box snatching, double voting and impersonation got many arrested, with some having to serve various jail terms. The inmates here say this should not repeat in this year's election since the facilities are overstretched, and any addition to their overpopulated numbers will further deepen their plight.
This is not a place to be at all. It's not a place to be. And that is why we're urging all Ghanaians, especially the youth. I want to emphasize on the youth, not to allow themselves to be manipulated, to engage in any violent activity which would end them in here. We want to come out there, so we don't want people to come and add up to it, you know. So we expect that we conduct ourselves in a manner that will be devoid of any violence, that will be devoid of any more practices, such that we go through the election peacefully.
Emra so say ekotu aban momayemfa odo biakoye enkabom eni asumdie efa nkotu aban.
You go and commit such a crime and you've been prosecuted and sent to prison. You will be the loser. You being the loser didn't end there. You have imprisoned the entire family and imprisoned the country as a whole, because your dependents will now no longer become orphans. Your immediate children become orphans. Who is to take care of them? Nobody can take care of your children more than you do. You can take good care of your children. So please, I will entreat each and every youth of today that nobody should allow himself to be influenced by any political party or individual.
On Arrival Live today, we take you to the Ashanti region, where the police from the Motor Transport and Traffic Directorate are unable to celebrate the reduction in road traffic accidents in the region this year. The reason is simple. Though there have been fewer accidents this year compared to last year, more lives have rather been lost. Let's hear from Superintendent Emmanuel Adubuahin, Ashanti Regional MTTD boss, who backs this with statistics from January to October.
The total cases reported to the police from 1st January 2019 to the same period, 3rd October 2019, as compared to 2020, was 2,470 accident cases. 2019. This year, 2020, it is 2,375, difference of 95, which we have about 4% decrease. So this is the situation on the ground. However, when we come to the number where the emphasis has been for some time now, because as we have experienced 4% decrease in the total crashes, we would have, or one would have expected that the fatality to also reduce. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. Same period last year, we recorded 338 deaths. But this year, we have 393. Difference of 55.
And later this evening on the Joy News channel, we'll bring you a story of greatness. We'll tell you the phenomenal, sustained and impactful life of the National Chief Imam of Ghana, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharubutu. Here, excerpts of the story is told by Latif Idris.
وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة.
Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharubutu. His greatest triumph lies in his legacy as a peace-building champion, a leader, a philanthropist, a humanitarian, and a teacher. That legacy stretches beyond the boundaries of Ghana to neighboring countries like Nigeria, Senegal, and Morocco, where he has publicly taken his teachings of the religion of Islam and the campaign for religious tolerance too.
I haven't seen him use a earpiece to enable him here. I see he's got all his teeth. I see him not using glasses like I'm using glasses now. He would stand up and in his own soft, quiet way be moving.
But how did this beautiful, sustained and progressively impactful journey all begin?
He was born in Kauli, where the father and mother lived in Kauli, just about 200 meters or 150 meters from where I stand. But behind me here is where the National Chief Imam was raised from cradle. This is where he lived with the mother. So I lead you to the house and I point you to the room that they lived in before he left here. Over there is where the room that His Eminence, the National Chief Imam, was raised. That's the room he lived with his mother till the age of about 8 when he started schooling and he was taken to Old Fadama.
Islam is one of the major religions practiced widely in Ghana. Its presence in Ghana dates back to the 10th century. The mainstream Sunni community, made up of the Tijaniya and Al-Sunnah, make up approximately 80% of the Muslim population, as against the Ahmadiyya and Shia community, constituting about 20% of the population. These different sects live together and worship peacefully under the leadership of the Grand Mufti.
Prior to, most of them even thought that Ahmadiyyat was against Islam, and some of them believed that Ahmadiyyat has been planted by Israel with the backing of the United States of America to infiltrate the ranks of Muslims and undo Islam for and on behalf of the Zionists. prior to him, like I said, Ahl Sunnah man had nothing doing with a Shiite. A Shiite had nothing doing with a Tijani.
The story airs at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel and also on our Facebook page, we're Joy News on TV. And that's how I end the AM News. I am Peter CBD.
And we have all the stacks of papers here. At least for my end, I have the Daily Graphic. It's pretty heavy this morning. There's also the Ghanaian Publisher, the New Publisher, the Ghanaian Observer, and the Business and Financial Times. Mamavi, good morning.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, Ben. Good weekend?
Tiring weekend.
Yeah?
Eventful weekend.
That means
ups and downs.
Money in your pocket, huh?
No, actually, not that kind of weekend.
How can you have a tiring weekend with no cash?
Sometimes you do work that will, it's like sowing a seed for later.
Okay.
Harvest, Beba. Harvest, Beba.
What's
How was your weekend?
Oh, it was pretty cool. It was quiet, kind of, but it was okay. I just love the Nsawam prison inmates, their peace song, and they also have a message as Kwame Boateng visited them. Yeah. They said the place is full. So don't engage in any
don't even try
violence that will bring you to the place. It is full. I like how they're keeping up.
It reminds me of Operation Ifiase. And they wanted people to contribute 1 Ghana CD and all of that. They're actually, I wouldn't say existing, subsisting on 1 CD 80 pesos every day. If you know what that is, I mean, what can you do with that kind of money? So you can imagine what they eat and the kind of life they're living. Don't try it. Why? Just stay out of trouble. Don't end up there.
All right, now let's do the newspapers. I'm going to dig in. I've got the Daily Dispatch, the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Daily Statesman, and the Economy Times. Do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
All right, let's do the Ghanaian Times then. Front page of the paper, government carts sold for 400-ton waste treatment plant in the Central Region. NDC, NPP confirm receipts of new voters register. Police grab 90 suspected criminals here in Accra. And tragedy, 6 NDC supporters perish, 50 injured in accident on Frontier Ejura Road. In the center spread, details of some of the headlines there, but also give NDC resounding victory. Former President Mahama says, he went to the Ejura constituency and be guided by Aliu Mahama's values, says Information Minister Kojo Opon Nkrumah. On the back page, Oli's victory sends City's coach home. Hearts Ashgood face off tomorrow, and Clote's late strike denies Kotoko win. Okay, that's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Let me dig into the Daily Graphic, the first one I'm looking at. Change voting patterns, Kufuor to Voltarians, and Mahama tells same to Asantes. Very interesting development here. Campaigning back, and they are both in the strongholds of the other party. Nanado in the Volta region, and of course John Dramani Mahama in the Ashanti region. And we know one of those thorny areas where they are hoping to clinch a seat, the MPP, John Peter Amewu in Hohoi. He's actually, hoping. I think in the last election, they lost by over 30,000 votes, maybe 39,000. But they are saying this time, it's going to be something else. The NDC is also eyeing somewhat 30%. You remember Operation 1 million votes?
I do, Pa. When you're in when you're in somebody's stronghold, you can only be humble.
Any pa will not amount to much. So those stories there. There's also Council of State praises EC for good work. And it has actually scored the Electoral Commission full marks in the Commission's preparations and processes leading to the general election. And it has therefore urged the EC to remain focused on the ultimate goal of delivering peaceful, free, fair, and transparent elections whose results will be acceptable by all parties. So that's the Council of State. But you remember, interestingly, when we hosted, actually, Reverend Dr. Paul Boafo, this was sometime last week, he scored the Electoral Commission 8 out of 10. And he is one of the eminent group of the Electoral Commission. December 7 polls, can parties shore up votes, especially in light of renewed campaigning? Let's do a bit of international news before we wrap up with more from right here in Ghana. On page 5 of the Daily Graphic, Burkina Faso election takes off amid jihadist threat. Then Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed rejects mediation talks. All of that in the Daily Graphic this morning. Let's check out what the center spread has to say, has to share with us. Deteriorating Accra-Tema motorway. And this portion of the stretch was actually captured by Maxwell Agbagba a few days ago. And so many parts of that stretch actually deteriorating. You can check out that. On the back page, there's some sporting news. And the league table as it looks now, Oli Dade, Oli Rosalinda. They humbled Legon Cities by 3 goals to nothing. Baby Jet. Ayo. So Oli is on top, 11 Wonders second, Bechem United third, and it goes on and on. But let me check out.
They were after signing.
Heart of Oak is okay,
we haven't played it,
they're in last position, though they've not, But
why aren't you talking about Kotoko's?
We're in 7th place. 7th place. Kumasi Asante.
Are we talking about you on the table, or we've played
2 matches.
How you were denying the win?
How we were.
What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I'm just mentioning the fact that.
So you're looking at the table, not what happened.
No.
On
I'm not mentioning.
Over the.
I don't want to.
Oh, Massa.
It's.
Okay.
We shared the spoils with Brekum. It's okay. It's okay. Let's move on to other stories.
Let's do the Daily Dispatch. Beneficent's new book reveals 5 most popular persons after Akufo-Addo and next flag bearer for 2024. You want to hear the details? Well, he says the book is on sale now. You've got to grab it and learn it. Distribution of electoral materials, 99% complete, says the EC chairperson, Jin Mensah. Central 16th region to get government solid waste treatment projects. Basically, that's what's on the front page. And then what the book is all about is on the back page of the paper. I see some charts and some analysis, so you can grab the Daily Dispatch and learn more.
Right. You should grab a copy
Of the book, and you have it? Oh, okay. And it's okay, yeah, now pass.
Some interesting
So
matters.
you finish reading, you pass it.
Okay.
Sometimes that's what happens.
You've reminded me of school days. You never mind, you just pass on. The Ghanaian publisher, 6 killed attending NDC rally in Ejura. And while this is so sad, but I also want to mention that love your political party and all that, but don't become a corpse. Stay alive. I mean, in this instance, yeah, accident and all of that. But I'll tell you of another accident in Cantonment over the weekend. This person was, I will not mention the name of the political party, but you see they put their flags on the electric poles and all of that. He was climbing, he was with a team, climbing, and other parties had theirs there. So he wanted to hoist his parties higher than the rest. He got electrocuted.
Well, you thought he was Superman or something?
I don't know, but he's now met his maker.
You don't do that.
I put a post out there about it.
So
let's all be careful, yeah? Stay alive. 6 killed attending NDC rally in Ejura. Continue to trust me, Akufo-Addo says. Speaker CJ Samira and ministers mourn with Frema. Ursula Owusu Akufo commissions basketball court for constituents. This morning, watch out for her interaction with my colleague Mama V. Owusu-Abwaje. Then 2020 voters register goes public and state-of-the-art solid waste plant for Central Region. So that's it there. And on the back page, you will see pictures of her, Ursula, commissioning basketball courts for constituents. That's it.
So, you know, we started a series, Women, Power and Politics, and the first series had A.B. Bright.
A.B. Bright.
It went very far. There are a lot of people who had not paid much attention, and they were quite impressed with what she was up to in Tema Central. Yeah. Well, today we've got Ursula Owusu Akufo, the Communications Minister. Yep. But this time we're talking to her solely as Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West. And I went with her to Begbese. You know Begbese?
No, I don't.
And watch, while she was doing door to door, Charlie, the campaign is not easy.
It don't be joke.
It's not easy.
We had this mistake. That's all talking. But let me also mention that, you know, Abby Bright, I before that interview, I didn't know so much about her. I listened to her. I'm one for words and finery when it comes to speaking and thinking through issues. And I must say that I was also impressed with her. I mean, where she's competing though, Charlie, stronghold of the MPP.
Tema Central,
but
well, I mean, considering the incumbent is not the one going,
yes,
I think she has
a bit of a chance.
I'm praying for her. That's all I can say. All right, let's do the Are you done?
I'm done.
All right, let's do the Daily Guide. Front page of the Daily Guide. Volta region saw little progress under NDC, says Nana Akufo-Addo. 7 NDC members killed in 2 crashes. Mahama has no legacy in the north, according to Vice President Baumia. EC special voting centers pull out. If we sleep, we slip. Blade to NPP and Central Region Waste plans underway. Let's check out if we can find, no entertainment news in the center spread. So let's do the back page. Dancerman Snit Flat guests a basketball court. I guess it has to do with ESLA. There's a picture here. It says ESLA in action before the commission. Like she's playing basketball. Legon City's fire coach. Oh, Charlie.
Kofi.
So the sack comes following the club's poor start to the campaign. The reason being that 0-3.
But debut. When did they show up? Only Rosalinda has been in the system since. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the latest with Legon Cities. Of course, the real Kwampofu will be here to tell us all the backstory.
The new publisher, what's new there? I thought Akufo-Addo was a saint. Repentant Odike begs Mahama. It's that time of the year again, a time of the 4-year cycle. And this time, it is Odike who is in the news. Angry pastor gives NDC 1-week ultimatum. We'll find out why. Napa opens ambulance station. But today, we're going to be hearing from the NDP, the National Democratic Party. And part of it, December polls, Nana Kunedu bows out. Nunu Mensah happy.
It's not what they've said because I know that they said there's something big for them to tell us.
Something big, but
the press
the new publisher is suggesting that.
So that's what they're going to tell us. Yep. How Nana Kunedu is stepping down.
So you could
but she'll still be on the ballots.
The new publisher has scooped the matter. We'll find out. I mean, we'll wait. We have to wait to find out what they will tell us.
2 p.m. today.
In that release. So that's it for the new publisher.
All right, let's do the Economy Times, my last paper. Ghana's total public debt rises. It says that the debt has continued to balloon further, recording 273.8 billion Ghana cedis, or 48.0 billion US dollars, representing 71% of gross domestic product during the first 9 months of 2020, compared with 209 billion Ghana cedis, or 39% of GDP during the same period last year, according to the data from the Bank of Ghana. Also, government targets 70% private financing for Ghana Cares program, and government records higher fiscal deficit. That's how the front page of the Economy Times looks like. For details, you've got to grab the paper.
All right, so let me do the Ghanaian Observer newspaper. In fact, I'll do that together with the BNFT. Volta region saw zero progress under NDC. That's according to Akufo-Addo. Dagbon will never forget Nana Akufo-Addo and Baumia for the peace we are enjoying. Na Bakpem Mahama says that NDC's political profiteering agenda over JJ's death exposed. Solid waste treatment project goes to Central Region. And then Baumia slams NDC over probity and accountability march to honor Rawlings. I find it... So is the MPP claiming Rawlings now because he's a statesman? So today it's the NDC claiming him, which could be in a way, understandable. The next day it's those in the high echelons of the MPP claiming this or that. Well, may he rest in peace. That's all I'll say. But this story caught my interest. I'll just read the headline. Judge dismisses Trump lawsuit in Pennsylvania. And if you've read that, I know I'm skipping a bit to do international. Sometimes we skip it. If you've read what the judge wrote, have you seen
I have.
The judgment?
I have.
I'll just do this part just briefly. It says, in other words, plaintiffs ask this court to disenfranchise almost 7 million voters. This court has been unable to find any case in which a plaintiff has sought such a drastic remedy in the context of an election, in terms of the sheer volume of votes asked to be invalidated. It goes on and on, but this judge, the judge be guy, the wording in this, I don't know whether the Trump campaign can come back after that one. But Trump, you know, Aswadi music. Let's delve into the papers. Shall we start with the Ghanaian Times?
Oh, yeah. And I've opened to page 3 where there is some crime stories. It says police grabbed 90 suspected criminals in a crime. They gathered these persons, the 2 females out of the number 90. But the operation was conducted by Amasaman, Medina, Adenta, Teshi, Tesano, and Abokobi police commands in Greater Accra to clamp down on criminal activities. Quantities of dried leaves suspected to be Indian hemp and 16 laptop computers were retrieved from the suspect, who were between the ages of 18 and 41 during the operation. So the Accra Regional Police Command Public Relations Officer disclosed this to the Ghanaian Times and said that all suspects have been detained and assisting the police in investigations. Detailed on how they carried out this activity on page 3 in the paper. And then kidnapping, killing of 4 tardy girls, court to rule on accused on January 28. So the Secondary High Court, trying the case involving the kidnapping and killing of 4 Takrady girls, has set January 28, 2021 to rule whether to acquit and discharge John Oji, accused, or ask his counsel to open defense. This followed the submission of no case by Oji's counsel, Mark Bosia, last Thursday after cross-examination of Detective Chief Inspector Dorcas Asari by Judge Esifwansa, counsel for Samuel Udutech Wills, first accused. All right, so we wait for the court to rule on January 28, 2021, next year. All right, those are the 2 stories I thought I'd highlight, Ben, in the Times.
Well, let's do this one. I mean, it's a common situation there, but I'll highlight it again. It's one of the news features, page 48 and 49 of the Daily Graphic. It talks about the situation on the motorway with limited places at which drivers can exit or enter. And it talks about it being a superhighway given various names depending on the country. And it also makes mention of this. Before its construction, what could only go to Aflao and Lome Togo from Accra through a circuitous link along a road from Nungwa through Ashaiman to Afienya and Dawenya, before joining onto a road almost parallel to the sea through to Adan Junction and Sogakofe. The motorway link being spoken of, that was constructed, therefore served 2 main purposes. As a shortcut coastal link, as well as a fast route for goods and services. But looking at the deterioration on that stretch, if you use that stretch often, you would see that some portions are becoming death traps and very dangerous. I mean, even the what do you call those? The railings are going and all of that. So it becomes very dangerous when it rains. So I guess let's not wait for disaster to happen. But let me go to that story on page 6 of the New Publisher newspaper. And it says, December polls, Nana Konadu bows out, and former First Lady and founder of the NDP, Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, barring any last-minute hitches, is highly expected to announce her withdrawal from the December elections today. Now, party sources say the decision, yet to be made public at a news conference at 2 p.m. today, is mainly as a result of the death of her husband, former President Jerry John Rawlings, on November 12th this year. May he so rest in peace. It is unclear what that decision means to her future political career, but insiders say she reached the decision after wider consultation with the rank and file of the party as well as the family. I've been speaking to some people close to the campaign, and they've also indicated that, you know, in Asante culture and all of that, especially for a woman who is in mourning, there are some expectations, and it would have been extremely difficult for her to continue with the campaign. It would appear, if it turns out this way, it would appear that there was a lot to what they actually shared with me. So we just wait to see what will come our way at 2 p.m. Of course, if it turns out to be the reverse, then we'd be like, okay, so what exactly happened? Those are the stories I'll look at this morning.
Well, you know, I was looking for the entertainment page in the Daily Guide. Well, it is there, not in the center spread, but it's on page 8. And there's this story about, you know, Paul and Peter P. Square of Nigeria. They're twins, so they share the same birthday. But we know that they're not together. They're not together musically. They're also not
things
together.
Have happened.
Things have happened.
Things have happened.
So they celebrated their birthday, and it was two different birthdays. And friends went to the separate birthdays. And Davido was quite upset with friends and family who decided to attend the separate birthdays. And he went on Twitter to give his peace of mind. Now, Paul Okoye is not happy with the comments by Davido. And so they've got the story in the paper today.
Davido has been trending over the weekend. He was also, well, not this weekend, but he was talking about the fact that he has a protege and that the protege is better than he is, better than Wizkid, better than Burna Boy.
Okay.
Some people said,
So who is this guy?
I've forgotten his name, but he's a new artist. One of those, like we say.
We're waiting. All right. There's also a sad story of veteran actress Grace Norte lamenting about loneliness. She feels very lonely when she does not hear from her friends in the movie industry. You know, she's 83 now. Yeah. She was speaking on 3FM on Saturday. She says, all of a sudden, no one asks of you, no one calls you, no visit, you're left home alone. This makes one unhappy sometimes. You're just left with you and your God.
That's a sad one.
Yeah.
That's a sad situation. And sometimes we forget, the elderly. We just think they can't cope the same way the rest of us do.
Yeah.
It's not saying. Do we have enough time? I believe we do, to do some online news. Let's quickly do that.
Well, in the meantime, if you're taking part in the special voting on the 1st of December, some of the papers have the voting centers, so you can check out where your center is. I've seen in the Times.
Any of the Ghanaian Times has it.
And in the Daily Guide, yes.
Right.
All right. So we can do my online.
So very quickly, politicians setting dangerous examples through COVID-19. Super spreader rallies Ghana Medical Association back on the beat with that one. HKC Prempe questions why Amidu took burden of logistics upon himself. There's also that story about the accident at Danasi near Kodia, leaving passengers seriously injured. Don't use Rawlings to resurrect your dying campaign, Gabi Asari Otredako to the NDC. And maybe the final one, Volta region has seen zero progress under the NDC. That's according to Kofu Ado. I believe that's all time will allow us. Sports will be coming your way next. Do stay with us.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the sports segment here on the AM show with me, Ore Kuampofo. Well, it's been a fantastic weekend. We've seen so much drama all the way from Friday through to Sunday. And we'll be starting right here from Ghana and talking about the Ghana Premier League. And yesterday, we did see a dramatic end to the game between Berekum Chelsea and Asante Kotoko as Emmanuel Clote drew parity from literally the last kick of the game as the match ended 1-1 between both sides.
Played out by Adom Frimpong. And now the run is on for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Emmanuel JP. This is an opportunity for Kotoko. This should be goal number one, and it is! It is! Referee has accepted. The ball did indeed pass the goal line. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Emmanuel Kayeke gets his name on the score sheet.
Infringement being ordered.
Skill, Abedu gets in there. Referee says he would have none of that. Daniel Laye was right on the spot and obviously will not be wooed by Emmanuel Clote's dive.
Have just 6 minutes to make sure they win this game.
Felix Anan is beating to it, but fortunately I should say, we're hoping that he can recover and recover fully. So Felix Anan is stretched off the field of play.
In the final 2 minutes of the game, good gather there with a quick ball into the feet of Stephen Amakuna, looking for the free kick, and perfectly he's been called right on the edge of the penalty area. Who is going to effect this? Amakuna has always been justified when taking these set pieces. Is he going to effect it? Stephen Amankuna behind the ball. And that's a drive. And that's the equalizer. The equalizer comes in for Clote, the experienced forward formerly of Great Olympics. It It was just coming from that free kick. And you can see the former goal king getting the goal.
So 1-1 was how it ended between Berekum Chelsea and Arsenal, and Kotoko, sorry. But if you do look at the trend, it looks as if Kotoko are now dropping points from winning positions. This is the second time that they've done that already this season. And let's now hear from their head coach, Maxwell Kunedu, who was disappointed with the result.
Of course, we didn't plan to change the goalkeeper. I mean, it was another tactical change we wanted to effect, but all of a sudden, Felix fell off and we couldn't continue. So that's really disrupted our game plan.
But generally, would you say the output is good enough as this forms part of your preparations towards your sojourn into Africa?
Yeah, it's a good match. It was a very good and tough match. I said we came to win, and that is what we wanted to do exactly. And had it not been because of it's a referee I respect so much, and I have a lot of respect for the referee. But then, last minute, I don't know what came over him. But that is football. You accept it in good faith and move on.
Okay.
Pressure certainly is piling on Maxwell Kunedu, who, after all the summer recruitment, has to start getting results soon. Well, Asante Kotoko, they would be playing against Accra Great Olympics next weekend, right at the Accra Sports Stadium. And speaking of Olympics, they sit on top of the table after match day 2, and that's because they beat Legon Cities by 3-0 on Friday at the Accra Sports Stadium.
Awaku, he's got space, he turns. Awaku! Missing the ball by inches, and it's a glorious moment for Glaston Awaku.
There. As the ball went through the walls, the wall that didn't do his job, ricocheted off a couple of players and wrong-footed the Mahama.
Oh, good play from Razak. Tries to put one through for Kwe. He's brought down. It's a penalty. It's a penalty.
Welcome back. It's another beautiful morning, and we did tell you that in the course of this week, especially today, we're hitting the campaign trail. It's exactly 14 days to election 2020. So what have the political parties been up to? This morning, it's a one-on-one discussion with our special guest, one-time running mate, this time flag bearer for the PPP, the Progressive People's Party. Let's say a very good morning and welcome to Bridget Jogbanuku.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here, and good morning to your viewers.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, we're in the campaign season, and we've heard a whole lot about the political parties. They're crisscrossing the country. What has the PPP been up to, let's say, before the cessation to campaign activities, before the sad demise of our former president? What had the PPP been up to?
We've also been traveling a bit. We've been doing a lot of media campaigns. We've been on social media a lot. We're a young party. We believe that a lot of our constituents are online. So we've done a lot of that. But we've traveled as well. We've been to, as soon as I was announced as flag bearer, we went to my hometown, which is in the Afadjato South District, the very traditional area, to greet the chiefs and people there, which stands to order. We've been to Akimoda, we've been to constituencies where we know we have a lot of our supporters, like Obom, Domiabra, Amasamang. We've been to Elmina and back. We were actually in Elmina. We had plans for activities. And then, of course, Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings passed away, so we put a stop on our activities. So we're going back there. I'm actually in party colors because we're on our way back there this morning.
You're hitting the trail there again?
Yes, because we didn't quite take off. When we went to Takrady. Yes, of course, I almost left that out. We went to the Western region to interact with our supporters there. And it was whilst there that the news came through. So we returned and rescheduled for this week for Elmina. We have a big events there, or big events between today and tomorrow.
That's in Takrady?
No, in Elmina.
Okay, in Elmina.
Tomorrow.
Sure.
And then we will be going to somewhere in the central region as well. Gomua West. We'll be going to Gomua West later tomorrow. So we're on the move, and then we'll be in Kumasi and its environs later in the week. So we've been on the move.
So you are on the move. You're covering, areas to ensure that you can mop up as many votes as possible. One problem that has resonated, or at least crossed, cut across the smaller parties, if I may put it that way, apart from the NDC and the MPP, the other parties, has been logistics, has been human resource constraints and all of that. Is the PPP experiencing same? Because that impacts your ability to crisscross the country as much as you would want to.
Logistics, yes. Human resource, no. I think that there are several dedicated people to the party in the various regions, and we have growing supporters because there's a wave of change blowing through. But yes, logistics, yes. Financial constraints, yes. We are a small party. We don't have as many resources as the other two parties have. But we are making do with the little that we have. And it's media like yours that help promote us as well. And of course, social media, which resources is not as expensive. So that is what we are dependent on. But yes, it's difficult times. I mean, it doesn't help that many businesses are not working for many reasons, including COVID. So yeah, it's difficult times.
How much more ground, I mean, we have 2 weeks left. How much more ground do you foresee that you'll be able to cover as a party before December?
A lot. We have a schedule. We're heading up north from Kumasi, Brongahafo.
Okay.
We're heading up north and coming.
Are you going to cover the entire northern belt, or are you going to specifically, target some areas?
Well, we will try to make a stop as we go along, but we have certain specific areas that we have a large number of supporters, and we would like to at least see them and let them know that we are still here. They know, but it's always good to call on them and, still encourage them and ginger them up for 7 December. Right. So we will be going all through, but we have specific areas that we have activities, activities that we will come into contact with our supporters. Some of them will just be whistle stops. Yeah.
Right. And speaking of those supporters and the other masses of Ghanaians that you would want to reach out to and maybe convince to vote for you come December the 7th, how have the people reacted to you on the campaign trail? What have the people been telling you?
Well, many things. One of them is the fact that we're tired of the two parties.
That duopoly.
It's not been different. We want something different. We want something new. So yes, we've been getting a lot of that. The women have welcomed me a lot. Happy to see another woman who's daring to do something different. So we get a lot from the women. We get a lot from the youth who say, you know what, these two parties don't concern us anymore. And we don't see, yes, because the two parties are steeped in old politics. They are steeped in things that happened post-independence or maybe even 1979. And you have voters who were born post-1979 who don't care about PNDC or don't care about UP or don't care about CPP. They are looking forward to their future. They want what is coming next, not what passed.
Right.
So they look at a younger, it's a younger political party than the other two, and they seem to think our hope is here. So we have a lot of followers there too. And yeah.
So tell us, what exactly has the message been? Obviously, you're carrying a message, policies and all of that, which are making the people, feel this is the option we should be going for come December the 7th. What is the thrust of your campaign? What are the salient policies that you've been selling?
It's multifaceted, but one of them is the fact that this is a new kind of leadership. So we are doing things completely differently. I think the main way that we're doing things differently is going back to revisit the fundamentals and changing them. So we've concentrated a lot on what is wrong with what is causing us to have this duopoly. what the reason why we have such a corruption-ridden government, whichever way, either party that's in power. The reason why the Ghanaian is so disempowered, because our political parties or our government in power has been given all the power to rule and not to govern.
Right.
So we need to go back to the fundamentals, which is our constitution. So we are very heavy on that message. It's almost as if we are NCC all over again, or we are doing a bit of that work.
You feel you're doing part of the work that the NCC should be doing?
I wish that the NCC would be better resourced to educate people.
Right.
And that is one thing the PPP will do when we're in government, to resource the NCC, because I think that what has been, the governments of the past have enjoyed for lack of a better word, the ignorance of the Ghanaian or the miseducation of the Ghanaian in matters of politics, or governance, so that the less they know, the more dedicated they are to either of them. Also, the issue of they not being empowered to empower. They are afraid to pursue their own. Ghanaians have been made to remain in fear to pursue their own dream of what they want Ghana to be. And now a typical example is the opportunity that was taken away from Ghanaians to vote for their own DCs, their own local leaders, like DCs and MMDCs.
Right.
So,
but you know the situation there. You know what culminated in that.
What culminated in that? It was certainly not the fault of the Ghanaian. It was the government's decision that because there was no consensus. How did we?
But isn't that the whole point? It's a leadership by the people, of the people, for the people. If you feel the people are not,
it's not a matter of feeling. You should have tested it and let us tell you that this is what we want or this is what we don't want. You, as the president, can decide that I feel that there's no consensus. It's not your feeling.
So that was a misstep on the part of this administration.
Indeed, we did not go through with it. People said it wasn't a matter of whether we were going to vote for our DCs or MMDCs or not. That wasn't the matter. The matter was whether we were going to vote for them on partisan lines or not. So the fact that we were going to vote should have remained. That was the vision. That was the objective. We were going to vote for our DCs and MMDCs.
Right.
But the Ghanaian was disenfranchised, was disempowered. The moment government felt that there was no consensus and therefore we are not going to do this anymore, that was our right taken away from us.
Right.
And we, it's our right and it's our power. The people must be empowered. If the people are empowered to vote for and know who to vote for as president or as parliamentarian, then they should know what they want to vote for, even better, at the local level.
Just to look at another angle of that, entire discussion. Some had said that, yes, maybe government had postured, felt that certain things would happen. And if it weren't going to culminate in that way, it would be egg on its face. But the other side would have been that, well, if we didn't go through that entire process, we would have saved something into the state's kitty. So
it's not about money, yeah? And I think that we make a lot of things about money, cash, saved, and disempowered people. Which one do we want? It's also worth money. Whatever you are saving in the government's kitty, when you empower your people locally, so that they have a local leader who is accountable to them, and they can hold him accountable and stop the corrupt practice. Look, our local district level DCs and MMDCs are entitled to 5% of revenue.
Yeah.
Never has any DC gotten that amount of money. The greatest amount or the largest amount they've got is 2.5%.
Right.
What has happened to the other 2.5%? Nobody is answerable. Nobody tells us what happens to it, where that money goes. And if we were to hold these people accountable, then we would say, hey, what's happening to our district assembly common fund? What's happening to the money? We need this done here and that done there. We will even start to look into contracts that go to the district level to say, how much did we spend? How much is our district spend? we then are able to hold them accountable to the work they are doing for us.
Right.
Now, if you are saying it will save money, then we lost more money by trying to save that money. So it shouldn't be about money.
In other words, was that an opportunity lost? That
Yes, indeed, it was. And it was an opportunity denied to us Ghanaians. And we should start to see the power we wield as a people in our thumb to start with. We must start to demand that power due us as Ghanaians. So, you know, if they are able to hold the DCE accountable and no longer someone who has been thrust on them so that they can't complain, or if they do, this man isn't going to move anyway.
Right.
You'll start to see more development. Look, when you say, I actually thought you were going to ask about the fact that if it wasn't done along party lines, it wouldn't have gone right. It doesn't matter whether we did it along party lines or not. We are starting to find out that Ghanaians are starting to see work done by the person.
Regardless of which
party he's in. So I'm not going to keep my DCE when he can't construct my market or see to my clean market or my gutter or ensure the health facilities in the or crime. There's heavy crime in our communities, and nobody is held accountable because the DC is appointed, the police chief there is appointed, you know, and therefore the Ghanaian is completely disempowered. And that for us, that is what matters. We want the Ghanaian empowered, even through education. And that's another message we are sending out. We have free SHS. Yes, good. But what about those before SHS? What about from the kindergarten all the way through to the JHS 3? We are
the syllabi across board are being tackled, at least in this administration. We've seen
it's not just about syllabus. How many children do we have in school?
Kindergarten level as well.
Yes, but how many children do we have in school? Do we ensure that our children go to school? You know that education, like I said, I tend to do the work of the NCC, and I'm happy to do it. Josia Nkrumah is my friend, so is Kathleen Addy. I know what a mammoth task they have without resources. We know that if every Ghanaian is educated to the point of SHS, that's a lot of strength, that is a lot of power, that is a lot of rich resource. And yet, we say we're giving free SHS. We are touting that. By the way, I found out recently that the government, I was going to say the White House, Jubilee House, had a budget or had spent about 1.5 billion for the operations within Jubilee House within 1 year. Yet, they are touting that...
You're talking cedis.
Cedis.
Right.
They are touting, I believe so. They are touting that, whether it's cedis or dollars, they are touting 2 billion for free SHS over 3 years. And they are saying this is how much we spent. 1.5 billion compared to 2 billion.
So just on the Jubilee House, the figure you're mentioning, and then we're talking about a span of 3 years and education, and we're touting about 2.2 billion.
Yes. So we see that more could be spent to make it better. And we are saying for that amount that would be spent, let's put it into basic education.
Would the PPP, now that we're talking education, even as far as the NCC is concerned and all of that, they have their work, cut out for them. But would the PPP do anything differently? What more would you do in terms of investing in education if people voted for you?
That's just what I was about to tell you. We believe in the free compulsory universal basic education.
F-cube.
Yes, not just F-cube, the compulsory part of it. The F-cube, they say exists. I think the people are still paying for a few things there, here and there. But the compulsory part of it, people think, oh, that's a lot. We have 2.5 million children not in school. Every year at BEC level, we have about 100,000 children who are unable to make it into SHS, the free SHS. And all these are cut out. And then you offer free SHS. Why don't we start? We will start from the basics. We will start from KG, compulsory, all the way through to JHS, continuous, and then into SHS. And therefore, the basic education is, in fact, ends at the end of SHS.
Yes.
And it goes all the way through. And when we are saying that, we will invest in it. You see, People say, where's the money? I say, it is what is important to you. That's where you put your money. Ghanaians' education and empowerment is important to us. We don't want to leave Ghanaians behind and be lord and you know, ruler over them. So complete schools, complete schools. And the plans are there. People say, oh, the National Planning Commission has plans that we don't follow. There are school buildings, complete school building plans that nobody has built. And we must build them, ensure that every Ghanaian child is engaged fully. NCC education should be in school. Sports education should be in school. The schools must be equipped. Look, I'll tell you one thing that also bothers me. Our children have been at home since March. Our children have been at home since March because of COVID. And we've kept them at home. We are doing some TV, some kind of education on
some schools have found, you know, innovative ways of engaging them.
Some schools have found. Private schools have gone online. Yesterday, I was in my village, and I forgot to mention that. Yesterday, we went for a festival in my Paramount Chief's 80th birthday in a very traditional area. And I saw children with smartphones taking videos. So they know how to use these gadgets. And yet, we've left the education. We have something called the GIFEC Fund. All these electronic items we are surrounded by here, you paid something on them, which have gone into that fund, which could be used to enhance our digital education in Ghana. Nobody has talked about the GIFEC Fund. Children have been at home since March, and we are going to go to school in January. If the PPP is in power, we will put masts in every district.
Masts?
Yes.
That's quite an ambitious project. Masts are pretty expensive to actually...
Yes, the GIFEC Fund has the funds.
Right.
The GIFEC Fund has the funds.
How much do you know that is in this fund that you are... I pose that question because a lot of the time you hear politicians say, we'll do this, we have the money. I mean, this administration told us we have the money. Then maybe reality hits when they come through and you realize that maybe you didn't have that much.
You can go and check. But the last time I spoke to someone, they were cited something about 800 million, and this was months ago.
Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Right.
But the funds are there. The GIFEC Fund, we can all probe it and find it.
Right.
Because, yes, I understand that most of the fiber has been laid. We can't actually...
How much is one mast that you're going to launch? How much have you approximated that it will cost?
I'm not a technical person.
But without that know-how, how can you even project that you're going to be able to do it?
Let's go first into whether the funds exist or not. They do. If we are spending 1.5 billion in Jubilee House in a year, why can't we put up masks? Certainly, one mask doesn't cost 1 million. Yes. So the money is there. It is what is priority for you. And indeed, we are finding out that our governments prioritize other things and then give the Ghanaian crumbs.
You feel, regardless of free SHS, and I'll be taking, on some of your thoughts on free SHS, you feel, regardless of what this administration has done, it's merely giving the crumbs to the people?
Of course it's giving the crumbs to the people. If you can spend 2 billion over 3 years, and in 1 year you spend almost the same amount on, spend in Jubilee House, then it is crumbs.
Let's look at, you've proposed something as far as the PPP is concerned, from kindergarten all the way to, junior high at the tail end. But of course, like you rightly said, that basic, level of education, it sort of ends after SHS. Now, what is the plan of the PPP when it comes to free SHS? If people were to give you their vote, if you were to become president of Ghana, what would you add on? What would you change when it comes to free SHS? Some have spoken about the double track system, among others. What exactly are you going to do about free SHS to make it better?
I think that this government has concentrated only on access. Oh, we have all these children going to school. We are thinking about the quality of the education. That is why we are saying that it's complete schools. Free SHS, go and pass exams and go. And yes, I taught an SHS diploma. What is in it? How well educated are these people? How employable are they? What is the quality? let's not lower standards and then say we've passed so many people. Let's ensure that the education is complete, as I said. Sports, discipline, civic education, character and behavior building, moral education. The quality of the education is important. It's not just passing through people through an assembly line and saying we have this number of people.
And you feel for now that is lacking?
That is it. And if you say, yeah, you built so many schools, what are the schools? You just put up these buildings. How is the digital education? How is the technical education? How are the arts? You know, the quality of the education also matters, not just the numbers.
And what specifically are you going to do about that?
Well, like
to enhance the quality?
We said it. We said we are building complete schools. Starting from the kindergarten level, with the equipment, the resources, and the training of the teachers to ensure that the children are taught properly and are educated, not just made to pass exams. And of course, when we say training of the teachers also, when we say complete schools, we are providing bungalows for teachers to stay. Empower the teacher as well.
Right.
We, the PPP, are about empowering the Ghanaian to be able to work and be prosperous and be successful within their own right. Not deny them that power and then let them be at our mercy.
Is this training going to be continuous?
Indeed, it will be. Indeed, it will be. Not just teacher training. And you see, we lure teachers with this teacher training allowance, then again making it about just the money. You say, oh, teacher training, I will give teacher training allowance. The person goes, yes, they get the teacher training allowance whilst they are teachers or where they are training. And then when they graduate, we'll post them to Mu or to Laura. No accommodation, no transports. They have to struggle to find their own. Then they start to they start stepping back from their work or from their duty. They don't show up in school. And of course, there's also the part of inspection, the National Inspectorate Board that inspects to ensure that schools are performing. They must also be made to work. And that is where our policy of ensuring, reforming the public sector comes in, where those who hold the positions and play the roles must be sure that they are doing their work well. We must ensure that they are being productive and they are showing results for the work they are doing and being paid for.
Right. We're going to veer away from your campaign shortly so we can also discourse on other matters. But I want to find out now, especially on the back of COVID-19, it's affected every country. No country is exempt. What is the PPP going to do to make better the economy of Ghana, especially as we battle COVID-19?
Yeah, it's still about empowering people. We need to provide jobs. We need to ensure that people have jobs where they are. And jobs are empowering so that they are not at the mercy of please give me 5 cedis, particularly in election times, you know. And I was thinking about it this morning. Like I told you, I was in my hometown over the weekend for a festival and also for the chief's 80th birthday. And we stayed in a guest house. It was a well-built guest house, beautiful rooms and all that. But what was obvious was the human resource to run that guest house. And Afadjato South District is rich in tourism. So apart from the attraction to the Lukusi Festival, which is a festival to celebrate the Ve people, there's natural resource. There's a Wuli Falls not far away. There's the Tafi Monkey Sanctuary that's not too far away. There's our food, which is good to go and eat, and on, all those mountains that you scale and all that. That by itself is job provision if you enhance on it, if you invest in it. So those are some of the jobs you look at. The local things, as someone said, the small things that are tangible. That guest house, if it had a well-trained accountant, a well-trained receptionist, well-trained housekeepers to take care of the house, that is job provision. And that is natural to the environment. And everywhere in Ghana, there is that kind of resource, either tourism or agric, where jobs could be provided if we were able to invest. And so for the PPP, that is where our concentration is. Make access to Ghana available to business. We drove along the Eastern Corridor Road.
Right.
They fixed a lot of parts. I go there often. I have business there. I go there often. They've fixed a few parts, but it's still a very bad road. You still can't go through Piki. This road was, construction started in 2011, and it's been left on and off. They do a bit, they leave it, they do a bit, they leave it. We pray that they finish it this time. All these roads, the Eastern Corridor Road, I believe is the N4. We have up to N18 of national roads. Some running north-south, south-north, and some running east-west. There are 18 of them. We have the N1, which is supposed to go from Aflao all the way to Elubo. The only dualized parts is probably, well, it's dualized some ways, but it's not supposed to stop at Malam. It's supposed to go all the way through Malam, through Kaswa, through dualized, all the way through Takoradi to Elubo. And we've left it. We haven't developed.
So that's something the PPP is going to continue?
Yes, it is something the PPP is going to do. We call them the interregional highways. We are going to dualize all these interregional highways, all the N roads up to N18, to open up the country to the kind of business I'm talking to you about. Most will be agri-based because agri employs about 31% of our employable resource. And it can only get bigger. So that is where we want to find the jobs for the people in our country, for the youth. But not just open up the country, also invest in the agri sector. Also invest in machinery, equipment for the farmers to make their work a lot more dignified than these farming tools and implements we still give them on Farmers' Day. You know, give them machines that will make their work easier. And not only that, but also value addition.
Right.
I have my small business where I'm adding value to palm oil that women are producing in Afajotu South District, where I come from.
What exactly are you doing?
I'm packaging, branding, and putting it in the big markets in the city and internationally. And since you've asked me, my brand is called Vay Flavor. It's the best jomi in town. Produced by women, and you must see how empowered they are now. It's just a small thing. So there is room. I will need
So you're going to replicate this on a national scale?
Yes.
And that is how you're going to create jobs?
I will need accountants, we'll need quality control people, we'll need people in the packaging industry, and all that. Those are the kind of jobs. It's a simple thing. If you really want your Ghanaian empowered, not at your mercy.
Per the PPP, you're going to focus on agriculture, among other things, tourism and the rest, to shore up the economy. Are you missing Papa Kwesi Ndum? Is the PPP missing him?
No, well, yes, of course we'll miss him. He's our founder, and he was the presidential candidate until
I'm talking
now.
of his impact, you know, rolling out the party.
He's still part of the party. He still has a voice. He's still...
Yes, but we've barely seen him on the campaign trail.
Yes, he's not here. He's not very well. I mean, it stands to order. But I'll tell you what the PPP has done. The PPP has easily segued into the next generation of leaders. So it's not just Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum who is not being seen. I'm sure Nana Bruhammond, you haven't seen him. You haven't seen Ladina Ilanda. You haven't seen Mike Egan. All those people are aware that it's a matter of growth of the party. And the growth means that you must pass on and let the younger generation also come on board. And that is what they've done. And I believe that we, the younger generation, are also capable, and we've proved it. Myself, my vice presidential candidate, Kofi Asamoah-Siang, and indeed all the other members of the party have taken it up, and we are running with it.
Right.
Yes, so we miss him, yes, but we are still plodding on quite well.
We're going to take a little breather at this point in time. We'll be back to wrap up on this. Welcome back after that break. We did say it would be brief. We're still here discoursing with Bridget Jogbanuku, flag bearer of the PPP. Electoral matters more related to that. The EC has its, the voters list out, and that in itself has raised some questions. Some saying that some of the ballots already have thumbprints and all of that, a whole lot. What is your take on that development?
I like to think positive. Yes, we get frightened, possibly with past events, and there's a lot of suspicion of each other, and that may go back to the way the EC herself is appointed, and that is a long story we have to deal with. But right now, this is where we find ourselves, and let's first think positive. Secondly, if the EC, if there's any truth in it, we expect the EC to deal with it and dispel those
doubts.
Yes, it is up to the EC to dispel those suspicions. There's not much we can do about it. What we want is the peaceful elections and free and fair elections. So each of us, what we can do, we must do to ensure that the elections come off free and fair.
Right.
There's really not much we can do if indeed there are some printed ballots already. If they've been found, well and good. What can we do about them? Let's deal with them and get them out of the way. The list is out on the internet for everybody to see, and I know there's that argument.
Your party has got its copy, right? I mean, you've got the list.
Copy, yes, but the copy we were given was to be for audit purposes, I believe. Now there's those Google documents that's all over, and people are afraid that people's personal information have been
gone out, been exposed,
which is true. I would expect that the EC has a remedy to the use of that if it should happen. Security measures in place if it should happen that somebody is going to duplicate somebody else's card or is going to use it for the purposes. I would have done it differently. I don't think that it should be accessible to everybody on the internet as it were. But it has been done, and therefore they should look for the remedy to counter it almost immediately.
Our time is almost up, but I want you to take a minute, if you can, do that. The special prosecutor resigned in recent times. Some say it is a stab in the back when it comes to the fight against corruption. Your take?
I believe so too.
You feel?
So too, yes. And I wish that he had held on a little longer and probed the case that he was probing to come to a conclusion. But that being said, I think his action also with the letter and the exposure and everything also tells us that, our government is not blameless. They have also been involved in some level of corruption. And we Ghanaians must feel that we deserve incorruptibility in our government, and we must demand that. Let's start to move away from the idea that everybody will be corrupt. I won't, the PPP won't. We are saying that we will have an incorruptible government, and we want to put in the measures. If you ensure we had ensured that the special prosecutor's position, we call it the independent public prosecutor, if we had ensured that it was indeed truly independent, we would not have issues such as this. And we want to pursue that. We, the PPP, will put in measures to ensure that the government is incorruptible.
Bridget Jogbanuku is flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party. We thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we wish you the best as you continue campaigning.
Yes. I know I have your vote.
I shall vote come this year, this December 7th. You know, I was caught up a bit because I've not voted in quite a while, but this time I do pledge. You know, it's a bit about, you know how some people don't vote in protest. Yes, but this time I shall vote.
Vote for us in protest.
Sure.
Because the two you don't want.
This time I shall vote. So we're taking a bit of a breather. We're also going to actually let you know how people have been reacting to the Electoral Commission's list that it has put out amid all the claims about some strategizing to cheat. That'll be coming your way shortly. Welcome back. It's 14 days, 2 weeks exactly, to election 2020. Will you vote? And if you are, you might want to pay attention because the list is out. The Electoral Commission has put it out there. The parties are taking a look at the list, but there's a lot more you need to know. And Mama V. Usuabaji is standing by. There's a whole lot that we need to take stock of.
Yeah, well, there's been plenty of reactions after the list was released. You probably would find it on Google Drive. I was making waves on the WhatsApp platforms. I saw it first on the WhatsApp platform. And we're asking a simple question on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook page, the Joy News page, you'd find this. Have you checked your name on the electronic list released by the Electoral Commission? How easy was it for you to find your details? And what do you make of the EC's decision to put your details out there? But first, let's show you exactly how this whole data well, we'll try and bring it to you, but let's get the reactions real quick. Sarah Amanyo says, they left our details there for the whole world to see. Who does that? Someone could just pick my details, forge a signature, and use it to process a facility or do any dubious thing with it. So irresponsible of them. Erikus says, I couldn't. That's responding if he's checked. Folder is in trash. Exactly what popped up after trying to check mine. What is the website? Philip says, good, but adding ages is not. Bryce says, great initiative by the EC. They should have even added house numbers to help me look for my lost girlfriend, Anna. Esewara. Gorino says, good job done, EC. Abbas says, totally, well, you're not in favor of it. Akusanaba says, how do I check mine? It should be on a certain platform because it's in Google Drive, isn't it? It's a huge file. Samuel Nanaya Adanko says, put it in a searchable format where one puts in their other's ID number and then the system pops it out. In that case, you don't see the information of others. Emmanuel says, was very, very easy. I like the confidence of the Electoral Commission. Michael Ifum says, those who don't see anything wrong with this. I'm asking, what does one need to register for a SIM card in Ghana?
So that's a point.
Very important question.
Very important because basically your details are being put out there and who knows?
Well, but they've got your name, your age, and then your number. Isn't that what they've got with it? Okay. All right. Ramsey says the EC has done a tremendous job. They've shown that they've shown traits of competence. I'm not bothered because they will do a greater job. Camp December 7. Seth says good job by the EC. Eugene says EC you do all. Kwame Apollo says EC. Okay, we can't put this out there on air. So let's just. Okay, this is very risky, somebody says. Fort Boys will use people's details for their criminal gains. That's Asaliba. Rose says, yes, and very impressed. My whole family name is there. Okay. Peter is saying I can't find the names of my two siblings in the register. I hope that won't be the case on election day. But listen,
you can't find it on the register.
You know, it's not. You need to know your polling station. So maybe you're looking at the wrong polling station.
Could be.
Yeah, exactly. But if you don't find your name, it means that you're not voting.
Exactly the point I was making.
Yeah.
There. Now, some people have spoken about, the accessibility of the file. Now, Google Drive, I think, because of the volume, the sheer volume of it. But in other instances, we've tried to, access files there, and it's a bit tricky. So I don't know how accessible. You remember when checking names on the list proper, before this entire cycle was going on, I tried to check. I couldn't access it. Other people tried, they couldn't access it, but there were some others who also tried and could access it. I had to go physically to my station to cross-check, then they would, get your index details and tick and all of that. So it's a bit tricky, but
I could access
between
it
now
yesterday.
and,
I could access it.
You could?
Yeah, it's in regions, okay? So when you open it, you'd see, you have to identify where your region is.
Right.
You open it, and then you have to zero in on the polling station. And then
final bit, though. Are we making too much noise, a mountain out of a molehill, when it comes to our information being put out there? What do you think?
Well, I think some of the concerns, because my mind didn't go to some of the angles that people are raising with the data and the security concerns. Anything that has a security angle, it might not be a view that I hold, but I think is still very important. So people are raising genuine concerns with data protection.
Right. But speaking of which, there's that conversation coming up, isn't it? Women, power, and politics.
Yeah, absolutely. So in our series where we're following some of the women in some of the key constituencies, the spotlight today is on Ablekuma West constituency. Esla Wusu-Kofo is the Member of Parliament there, 2-term. She's hoping to be re-elected in the 2020 polls. Enjoy the conversation.
Ni wakeka baba eche kuton amelehan leake ishe nyefe no wake fio ebasino atale amoni nyano nyane kuona no weko baba si aketa fio no pako wonpepo nike wonne seno wabani nyon nyeneku ni wana dade fio ni wakembaba nyani lo saloe akwe wani akeba tumo yeah.
As you do your door-to-door campaign, how significant is a meeting like this with the people?
We've been here a few times. They're a group of fishmongers and fresh fish sellers. We meet them regularly to listen to their concerns and meet their concerns. We brought them some headpans for them to sell their fish in, and they indicated to us that they needed the wire mesh that they smoked the fish on. So we brought a few to them. There are 5 rolls and it's quite a lot, so they can all share it. Now the MC even told me today that we're going to build stoves, the stoves on which they smoke the fish. Okay. They call it choco smoker a while back, but the modified one. We're going to build a few for them at the sites where they smoke their fish. And so that it is a means of enhancing their livelihoods. It is not everybody who is educated and has those needs. Some have traits that we can enhance a little bit with a bit of support. They also wanted some loans. We're working with Coastal Development for that to happen. It hasn't happened yet. So we've secured some little grants, small grants for them to also facilitate their work. One thing that came up today is that they are not enjoying the free water and electricity here. The landlords are still collecting money from them. So I'm going to inform the MCE to come and have a conversation with them and notify them that if they continue to collect monies from them, the law will deal with them, because they're not paying for the electricity they consume here. So they shouldn't be collecting those monies from their tenants. And we've been talking to them about the need to vote wisely. So for us, it's very significant. It enables us to touch base with the people, know what their concerns are, work to alleviate those concerns, and ensure that they also help us to continue serving them by voting for us. Many of them were voting NDC before. They've indicated that this time round they're going to go.
Also, these people we see here are not necessarily originally NPP people?
No, not all of them. Some were, some weren't. But due to the interactions we've had with them over the years, this time around they've indicated that they're going with the NPP. And it's very simple. You ask many of them and they'll tell you that but for free SHS, they would never have been able to put their children through school. The little support that we've given them has also cushioned them. We've come several times to do education on COVID with them. So I'm surprised that they weren't wearing their nose masks, because every time we come, we bring them nose masks and sanitizers and stuff. So we take this opportunity to also remind them that COVID is still around. It is still harming people, so we should protect ourselves. But I'm confident that this time round, we'll get more votes here than we normally do, because of the impact of our pro-poor policies on their lives. And you can see the neighborhood in which they are. When you talk about Ablikuma West, people assume that it's only the Dansoman estates. There's an underbelly to the constituency. A lot of people live here. They have genuine needs and concerns. It's incumbent on the political leadership to work to alleviate those needs, and that's what
it's good that you touch on the other areas. So why don't you tell me about your constituency, Ablikuma West, a constituency that you're very passionate about?
It's a mixed one. We have the middle class and then the peri-urban neighborhoods. We have some zongos here like this one. The inner cities, we have quite a few dotted around. And so, like I was telling somebody, there are different strokes for different folks. It can't be a one-size-fits-all. You need to be able to relate to all your constituents as they are and work towards alleviating their needs and concerns that they put before you. But I love the energy that the kids in this part of the constituency exhibit. They just run after us. We're here for 3-4 hours every night, and they'll be following us everywhere. So they are my young ambassadors. And so I tell them that go and tell your parents to vote for Ursula, and they'll say 4 more, 4 more, 4 more. It's exciting. In the estate proper, which is the middle class neighborhoods, their concerns are bad roads, street lighting, security.
Headwater?
Yes. We have we've always had water problems here. It's better than it was when I was growing up. We used to go and fetch water all the way from Blue Lagoon, which is near the Malam Highway. Walk to carry water on our heads back to our homes. It's much better than it was now, but it is still a concern. And so we've put polytanks at vantage points that and ensure that it is filled overnight so people can fetch water in. So you need to provide for the various needs of the different shades of the community that we live in. But I am quite confident that we've done a lot in the past 4 years, 3.5 to 4 years, and the majority of the people here would return us to Parliament and the President back to the Jubilee House to continue with the work that we're doing.
Obviously, it's a lot easier when it's your government that is in power.
Much easier.
Yeah, you went to Parliament in 2012.
And I tell people all the time, I've been an MP in opposition, I've been an MP in government. I'm able to do so much more for the people when my party is in power.
Isn't it also because you are a Minister of States?
It helps. It helps because all the various ministers heading the various portfolios are your colleagues. You meet them in Parliament and in Cabinet. So if you have a challenge, you can address it. And like we brought the Minister for Roads here to show him how bad our roads were. And he assured us that he would do something about it. And he is doing something about it. We've got 25 kilometers of asphalt already done within the estate. And we started doing another 15 kilometers. If you were to go with us along Shiabu towards 205, you'd see that the contractor is currently on the roads working and doing more asphalt overlay here. It helps. And I think we've got more than many other constituencies because I harass them so that they do meet some of our needs. Coastal development has also been helpful. We're getting some drains done. We've gotten a maternity hospital is under construction. We've got 3 institutional toilets already, water projects also done. and some major drains are also, and roads are also under construction. So I'm very, very happy about the support that my colleague ministers are giving us. We've got about 300 household toilets also done already, with a promise of more to come. If you see the communities here, many of them use public toilets, but with a little space. And I'm paying half of the cost of constructing household toilets for them. So they just pay half of it, and I support them with half. We've done 300 already, with more still to come. There are many people who tell us that they also want some in their homes. So we haven't done too badly since MPP came to power. We can do even more in our next term of government.
Is it more challenging? Is it more expensive when you're a woman?
Now that's the $1 million question. I think because we empathize more with the people, we are touched to do go beyond, a little beyond the extra mile to meet their needs. For example, if you meet a child who's sick or who's going hungry, you take money from your own pocket to meet that need, even without being told. And I'm passionate about empowering women, because I know the benefit of what an empowered woman can do. And it's not just empowerment in terms of literacy, but empowerment in terms of economic empowerment. If you enable them to have a livelihood going on, they're not going to stress any man out. And many of them too are single mothers, unfortunately. So if they have gainful employment or have some work doing, they can take care of their children, whether there's a man around or not. So that's a particular passion that I have. So you'd see me engaging more with a lot more women's groups. There's another group we're going to meet, but they've got a funeral today, so they're not available. But we'll meet with them. We've given small loans to over 5,000 petty traders.
Within the 4 years?
Within the 4 years, yes. And there's a huge backlog of people who still want them. And they pay back, they repay it. So it's easy, it becomes like some kind of revolving fund. So, and some people have collected 3, 4, 5 times based on their own credit history. And so it's something that we want to sustain going forward. And they'll tell you one woman's story. She was selling a few crates of eggs. With the little support, she started with 500 CDs. She's gone up to 10,000 CDs now. And she's supplying almost all the shops in her area with eggs now, which for me is encouraging. So she's not going to come to me to pay her rent for her. She can afford to do that herself. So there's some kind of self-interest too involved in it. It takes the burden off us. When they are economically empowered, they take care of themselves, and that doesn't become a problem. So it's something that we should and we are going to continue doing over time. And when the children too get some small jobs to do, it relieves the burden that they have. And I keep telling them that my mother has sold charcoal. I have sold charcoal before. My mother sold her cloth to put me through school sometimes. Now there's no fabric that my mother wants to wear that I can't buy for her. So there's value in investing in your children's future. They repay you several times over. When you share stories like that with them, they can see that their children can also be like us. So we become like role models and mentors to them. That's why I like hanging out with them so much. And the children can see a hopeful future for themselves if they also do the right things and are encouraged to pay attention to their education. So I love this interaction with them. It energizes me as well. It makes all the stress, the cost of being an MP, and it is huge, like you're saying, your hands become like a revolving door. The minute you get it, it goes out. But at least you can see that it's being put to good use.
Let me take you back to Parliament in 2012 when you were just 30 women. And then I think 2016 there was an addition. And then now we've got 38. But it's still
woefully inadequate.
But you are there, you've been there 2 terms. What's the problem? Why can't a lot more women, come to Parliament?
This is one of my pet subjects. We need to sit down and have a conversation around that. But it's a multifaceted problem. Ours is a patriarchal society. Many people still think that we are there on sufferance. They have allowed us to also have a little space in governance. But no, 51% of our population, 52% are women. So the legislature should mirror the society in which we live. If it doesn't, then there's something seriously wrong. And so far, we're still hovering around the 10%, which is a far cry. We were even advocating for 30%. It would mean changing the way in which we do politics in this country through the selection process, our primaries. If we don't fix that, there is no way. I don't see us having more than 30 or 40 women in the next parliament as well, because there's structural challenges which we still haven't dealt with.
Oh, so you see us going beyond the 38?
Fingers crossed. Fingers and toes crossed. But if the two big parties, MPP and NDC, filled more women in their strongholds, we would have more women in parliament. If they made our primaries easier for women, and the filing fees alone that they've reduced is not enough. After you've paid your filing fees, then what? We have monetized our politics so much that if you're not able to raise funds significantly to finance your re-election bid, you're out of it. Yeah, they will look out for their what's in it for them and vote that way, no matter what good policies you present. So one, we need to think through the way we select our candidates. And I've said so before, and I still insist, that if we let only women contest women in certain seats, no matter what happens, we will have a woman on that seat. And
irrespective of the ticket
irrespective of the ticket that the person is on, whoever wins would be a woman. From the primary straight through to the general election. There are other affirmative action policies that we can adopt. And if we don't do that, we would still be hovering around this 10%, which doesn't paint our country in a good light at all.
So let's come back to the constituency. What kind of Ablekuma West did you meet in 2012?
Very bad roads. People going about their normal business, needing help and support and not getting it. Insecurity, a lot of sanitation problems. I think Ablekuma West was one of the highest cholera-prone districts, constituencies in Greater Accra. Several people died every year of cholera. We had serious flooding problems in major parts of the constituency, including further along, Shiabu, the Gbegbe areas. But thankfully, we've improved the situation a bit. It's not gone completely. We still have challenges, but we've worked to improve the situation a bit. Our roads are being worked on. The sanitation problem has improved. We've made channels for some homes had to be demolished, unfortunately, to make that happen in Gbegbe for the river to have a free flow towards the sea, and that's reduced. In fact, we didn't have any flooding issues in this part of the constituency this year, when previously we did. But along the entire length of the constituency, from Glefe to Otojo, which is near the Snit Flats, we still need storm drains there. We're still working on that to make it happen. And I've assured them that that will be my major project in the next term if they vote for me, because it has to be done. Everybody knows about that. Currently, we're having some significant sea erosion as well. So the sea defense has to be continued to protect the Shiabu Gbegbe's coastline as well. And so that's another thing that's remaining left to be done.
Okay.
And for the women, they still want support, small loans. We'll continue to do that. Our children are being educated, they're happy about that. When there's the free hot meals that they're getting in schools now, they're happy about that. So all in all, it's not too bad, but there's still work to be done.
Great. So what kind of when you close your eyes in the future, what kind of Ablekuma West do you see? How do you want to leave it?
Our coastal communities better served. We can't get a fish landing site here, but I'd have loved if we could have got a harbor, small one here. And if we could have a jetty or something, some corniche that people could enjoy. There's the water from the lagoon enters the sea. We could clean that up a bit. We've started. Then at least we could have even pleasure boats on it. And, you know.
That's a beautiful dream.
No. I'm not sure if it is attainable in the next 4 years, but we'll try. We'll try. Working with the people, we can clean it up. All our roads, since the estate was done, many of the roads have never seen resurfacing. We've started, but there's still significant parts of the constituency with bad roads. That fixed, security improved.
Great. Just the last thing.
We're getting a digital police station as well.
You are?
Yeah. We built 2 new police stations. We've told the IGP that we want one of them to be the prototype of what a new digitized police station should be like. And he says we can work together to make...
Well, he doesn't have any choice, does he? Because you're the communications minister.
We'll see. We'll see. We got speed cameras all over the place. Instead of having one viewing location, they could also enable us to view our own cameras from here as a backup, sort of. So we're working on all that. And I think it's doable. And then connecting all the various public institutions to good internet so that they can also digitize their operations would help and would have a proper safe city, clean city that we can bequeath to our children. Well, every change starts with a dream. So that's my dream for the constituency in the next few years.
Great. I know that you have to get back to your door-to-door. So I want the final thing to be a peace message because we're very close to the 7 December polls now.
Absolutely. And as I was telling them, they should help us with the last leg of the campaign and try and convince those who are still not convinced about why they should vote for the NPP. And in doing so, it is not a quarrel. It should not be an argument. It's just an exchange of ideas. If the people don't agree with them, they should just agree to disagree. And that's the beauty of democracy that we have. It's an exchange of ideas. So I don't understand why it always has to be something like we're going to war with each other. Let's go and line up peacefully, do the rest of our campaign peacefully, share ideas, try and convince people to go the way we believe they should. If they don't, leave them and continue praying over their heads, and I'm sure the Holy Spirit will enable them to have a change of heart. I'm a firm believer in that as well. On election day, everybody should go to their respective polling stations, line up peacefully, cast your ballot, and hang around if you want to, or go about your normal activities if you want to. Don't get into an argument with anybody. There is no need. And because of the way the numbers of registered voters have been reduced in each polling station, we have many more polling centers now, with no more than 600 people in each polling center. By 4 o'clock, all of us should have been able to have voted well before it gets dark. We hang around, they count the ballots. I have no doubt that Ursula will be declared MP-elect, Nana Akufo-Addo will be declared President-elect. We go about our normal business, everybody is happy. And better luck next time to the vanquished. And the victors should also know how to celebrate without making anybody get irate, you know. And if we all do that, they voted in America. I don't understand what's happening there. They are worse than a third world democracy now with what's going on there. We will show them how it is done or should be done and let them learn from us as well. I'm confident that if we all do what we are supposed to do and allow the Electoral Commission to do their work, we would have peaceful elections. The declaration will be done peacefully. The swearing in will also be done peacefully. And life will go on.
I wish you well with the campaign. May we see a lot more women in Parliament, more than the 38.
Absolutely. Amen. I'll say amen to that. And I'm supporting many female candidates around the country to ensure that that happens.
Oh, around the country, because I know Sarah Adjo is your friend, because we saw you support her during the primaries. Even as you're campaigning in Ablekuma West, you have time for other constituencies?
We sink or swim together, so we can't be selfish about campaigning. I've just come back from Axim, where I went to campaign with Catherine Afeku. Yes, I came back last night. And I'll be going to Fansaman to help Ophelia as well. And yes, it's important. They see that we're all in it together. I want to see many more women in the next parliament. And we'll do whatever I can to make that dream a reality.
I wish you well with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's Women Power and Politics Spotlight on Esla Owusu Ekofo, Ablekuma West Member of Parliament. She has been there 2-term, first went in 2012, retained in 2016. She's on the ticket again. The whole idea, so we can tell you, the women who are contesting in this year's election. Hopefully we can do a lot more than 38 as we have in Parliament. And the 2021 session would see a lot more women. That's the end game that we're hoping for. Hope that you enjoy this. We've got plenty other women that we're putting the spotlight on in the coming days, with 14 days to December 7. Now, let me tell you about CIIG, is the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana, and as part of its role in promoting professionalism in Ghana's insurance industry, it has instituted the CIIG Insurance Award to recognize and honor industry players for their valuable contributions. The maiden edition of the CIIG Insurance Awards, under the theme Celebrating Best Practices in Ghana's Insurance Industry, camps off on Saturday, 28th of November 2020 at the Labadi Beach Hotel, Accra at 6 p.m. For more information, kindly call this number, 020-762-8947, 020-762-8947. You can also email info@ciig.edu.gh or just visit www.ciig.edu.gh. The awards are audited by KPMG. Kindly note that all COVID-19 protocols will be observed at the event. You're watching the AM show here on Joy News. Still to come, we've got show business. Caddy is back this morning. Stay with us.